Hey everyone, how are you all doing? Today I'm going to be taking a look at my custom McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse. What is it called? Like DC Digital? Whatever the weird QR code thing is for the figures. But it's Green Arrow. You guys know what this figure is. It's the Longbow Hunter's Green Arrow. But I made some modifications to make it a better figure, in my opinion, because I liked the way that the figure was originally. I had some issues with it. The hood made the head look a little too big. And the whole thing that McFarlane keeps doing with having the like torsos be one solid piece, like rubber overlay, to where you can't articulate them, which is so annoying. Modifying that and giving him different accessories and changing up the head sculpt entirely and all that stuff. So that's pretty much, all the things that I did with this figure, and I'm obviously going to go into more detail here in a second. But Green Arrow is a character that is very special to me. He has always been one of my favorite DC characters. I would say he probably is my second favorite DC character aside from Nightwing, who will always be my number one character. Dick Grayson will always be my number one DC character. And then Green Arrow, and then Superman, and then probably Flash, and then probably Wonder Woman, I would say. Yeah, that would probably be my top five. So yeah, that's how special Green Arrow is to me, and I've really wanted them to make a good Green Arrow for a while, and I think that the original one was okay, but it had some room to be improved, and as you can see, I improved it heavily. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into what I did to make this Green Arrow my definitive, to a degree, classic Green Arrow. So going off of what he looked like originally, pretty much exactly like this. The arrows, though, stuck up a lot more. The head was originally the hood, instead of the Cupid hat, whatever you want to call it, Peter Pan hat, Robin Hood hat, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all that I changed from like the base figure. So like the figure itself is the exact figure that you get aside from the bow, which is the DCUC Green Arrow bow. The hat, which is from the Injustice 2 Page Punchers, whatever you want to call it, Green Arrow. And yeah, I actually didn't change anything else on him. It's all the base figure. So technically speaking, you'd only need 3 figures to make this exactly, as well as some green, I think just straight up green is what it's called, or like forest green, apple barrel paint, and some white to go along with the oh, and then gloss green. It's like moss green or something like that, because those colors matched this figure perfectly. So let's go ahead and pull him in closer, and I'll show you guys exactly what I did, because that's the only thing that I painted on this figure is the head sculpt, which I am so unbelievably proud with how this turned out. I took the hood off, I took the hat of the Page Punchers one, repainted it, added a little bit of kind of different two-tone in there to make it look a little more detailed, a little bit better in my opinion, and repainted the facial hair and the hair to be more of that yellow kind of classic color. And then I repainted the mask, because the mask was black. For whatever reason, it was black, and he just had eyes instead of the whited out eyes and a green mask like the Longbow Hunters story. So I don't know, or at least the cover of the Longbow Hunters story. It's been a long time since I looked into that comic, but like, why? I don't get it. Whatever. But like the green mask, I went ahead, did the light green outside of it, did the dark green around the eyes to give it more depth, and then repainted the eyes to make them white. And I think this just looks so good. Like, I really do. I trimmed the arrows down so they could fit a little bit lower into the quiver to look a little bit more realistic. I trimmed off the shoulders a little bit, like the tunic piece, to give him more range as well. Like, it wasn't even, oh man, I don't even know exactly how much I trimmed off, but like, really it was not that much, and clearly it doesn't affect it, in my opinion anyway, it doesn't affect it too terribly much. But it looks good. I didn't change anything with the legs or anything like that, but the tunic, as you can see, this might be like an eyesore for some people, but you can see I did cut the tunic essentially in half to give him that range. And what I did was I actually took the mid-torso piece and I shaved it down to where it's basically, I mean, you can see how much gap is in there, to where it's basically nothing. So whenever you go to like use the articulation and crunch him forward, you just kind of tuck it in like that. And then when you do that, you can get about that much more articulation out of it, whereas as before you could maybe get like from its base form you could probably get to like there, you know. And it's Green Arrow, he's got to be able to, you know, do some acrobatic stuff and kick some ass and stuff like that. So, and I think that I did it in a way where, because if you pose him the right way, it's hidden, you know, like you don't see that I cut into the tunic very much, which is really cool. Like it's a little bit no more noticeable from the back, but you know, you don't really need to pay attention to that when you're posing it like this. And how proud I am of the head sculpt. I want him to always be kind of showing off the head sculpt. So yeah, that's pretty much kind of all I did with this figure, but I would like to put him back on the base stand real quick, because this figure in his base form, along with, you know, every other McFarlane figure that's ever been made in the history of man, can't really stand all that well on his own. There's like a select few probably that can, but I also wanted to show you guys just kind of this quick teaser and see if you guys wanted me to make a video on this as well, or I can wait and make it probably whenever it's completely done. But I made a more modern Green Arrow as well, because like I said, I love Green Arrow. He's a little bit taller than the other one, but yeah, you know, I made a little bit more of a modern one to kind of have that juxtaposition between the two of them. And I love how this turned out too. I didn't actually repaint the hair or the goatee on him because I wanted it to be a little bit more like modern, a little bit more muted comparatively. But yeah, and I'll actually swap these real quick, the head sculpts, to show you guys what that would look like. Oh wait, never mind. I was going to do that because it actually doesn't look too bad, but the neck pegs are different. So I actually, this is the original neck peg on this one, but the other one, to get it on that body, I did have to use a little bit larger one, so it's not the best. But it looks not, you know, too terrible. And maybe one day I'll switch them out, because like actually whenever I was repainting them, I liked how both of them looked so much that I couldn't decide at first. But I do want to show you guys some comparisons to see how they look, to see how he looks alongside some other characters. So here is, of course, his best friend in Hal Jordan. And I love how these two look together. Oliver is a little bit smaller. This is obviously a custom. But like if I get his legs together a little bit more, you can kind of see he's a little bit shorter, but it's not too bad. And I think, you know, posing them up like Hal flying or Oliver kind of hunkered down, getting ready to fire, you know, pull the trigger, so to speak, on his bow. It's not too bad. I like how that looks, and I like the different greens between the two of them. I'm so excited for that new run that's coming, The World's Finest, but it's Green Arrow and Green Lantern instead of Batman and Superman. So excited about that. I hope that we get to see like that universe's version of Black Canary, and like how he came to meet her and all those kinds of things, and Roy, and how they tackle a lot of that older storytelling for that stuff. But then on the flip side of that, here he is for, you know, a little bit more of an Arrowverse inspired type thing. Here he is with John, my custom John, and I really like how this looks too. Why is Hal so much taller? Is it the they're the same body. What is happening here? Is it the base stands? It's got to be the base stands, right? A little bit. Why? I don't understand. I'm so confused. And so is Hal. That's why he fell over and everything's falling apart so quickly. Let's move Oliver back right here real quick for a little bit more of an Arrowverse inspired thing. And I think it's so funny. Like when you tell comic or non-comic book fans about the fact that Barry Allen and Oliver Queen actually hate each other, I think that, and they have such a rivalry, I think that that's so funny because it throws them off so much, because like if you're just an Arrowverse fan, you're like, wait, what? But they're best friends. What do you mean? And same thing with John and all that. But I love how this looks. I love doing the, you know, Arrowverse inspired kind of crossovers with my comic book figures, because, you know, it's just fun for me. So yeah, I really love how this Oliver turned out. I think that this was such a quick thought too. Like I just kept seeing the figure at my store. Like I made the more modern one that I showed you guys. I made that one and I was like, this looks cool and all, but I kind of want to see what I could do with the base figure first instead. You know, like I wish that I had done that before doing this. And so I went ahead, grabbed it, and while I was working on it, I was like, oh, I could maybe do the hat if I take it off the Page Punchers one. And I was like, sure, let's give it a shot, because I don't use that figure because that figure is way too tall, and I just didn't really enjoy that figure. And similarly to Nightwing, if it's not a good figure, and representation of one of my favorite characters, I'm just not going to, I'm not going to mess with it very much. So I'm glad that I was able to make this figure possible, as well as making the more modern one possible. And I want to keep tweaking them and keep doing things and stuff like that, because I love how this turned out. And McFarlane, Todd, if you're listening, give us a classic Black Canary. Give us a modern Black Canary. I don't care. Just give us a Black Canary. I don't care. Just give us a Black Canary, because she is literally one of my favorites. Like, whenever I was talking about my top 5 earlier, Green Arrow and Black Canary for me go together. So, which for a lot of people it's that way. So like when I say Green Arrow is my second favorite DC character, I mean Green Arrow and Black Canary are my second favorite DC characters. Because while yes, they can be, apart at times and in different stories and whatnot, they're still yin and yang. So I need me a Black Canary to go with this Ollie. So yeah, that's going to do it for me. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comments, and I will catch you all in the next one. See ya.